Fellas, everyone wants to be the carry in Marvel Rivals, the one that's melting the tanks, deleting the healers, and turning fights in an instant. But not all DPS are created equal, and today we're breaking down which damage dealers dominate in Season 3.5, and which ones might be holding you back. And with 41 heroes currently in Marvel Rivals and a new one coming each month, the meta, the change-up, should be something that changes quite often. And because of the hero balance changes, they do also change quite often. So, let's get into it. I do think the DPS are in a weird position, and they have been since basically day one. But they don't have anything that is, here's someone that you must play, and then you'll just have the best time. The DPS are very diverse. There's a lot of different use cases. And so starting with the ban or use, that's going to be Human Torch. He has great movement abilities. I think he's one of the best hero movement characters that you can find in the game. Human Torch is faster, the way he moves is better, his damage output is incredible, and he also has a decent team up with Inviswoman where he gets more overshield and healing. What more can you really ask for out of a character? Torch is great for getting picks if he uses his second ability and then dives. His ultimate is also very strong. I've seen videos where it can get... I have dealt with him getting picks in a support ult, and he also benefits kind of the same way that Black Widow does, where if you have a Mantis and then you buff him up, a recipe for an easy win. And then speaking of Black Widow, we got Black Widow in D tier. She is not all that strong, has a really good team up with the Punisher, I will give her that, but Black Widow in general mostly is, here's a good early pick into the round, time to switch your character. But if your team is running shield tanks, which I don't think there has been a season where that has not been the meta, Black Widow is effectively put on a leash. Her ultimate was nerfed at one point where now it's just kind of worse. But in the games that you'll play, especially in the lower ranks and even in the higher ranks, you don't see her all that much. She's just not it. There are better choices in just about every aspect. And moving up, we do have Star-Lord. Star-Lord kind of suffers a lot. And they are trying to make him a little bit better, but at this moment, he's just not the guy for almost anything. He lost his res comp ability. He has an ability now with Rocket where he could teleport, which is cool, I guess. But right now, Star-Lord, he can't hang out really in team fights as he doesn't have that sustain to him. Star-Lord's ultimate, when you can get it off, is very, very good. It can be countered pretty easily. Magneto counters it quite frequently, and then typically the support ults come out at the same time. It is a fair trade, but right now Star-Lord is just kind of lackluster in a lot of the abilities. He's not doing much for the divers, he's not doing much for the flyers, and he can barely do much in team fights. Now, one that I do hate to put on this list above anything besides Squirrel Girl, F tier for Squirrel Girl, pervert. We got Squirrel Girl in B tier. Now, she has very little abilities. Her kit is not complicated to use. She puts out amazing damage, and these days her ultimate is at a point now where people are starting to shoot it a little bit to get rid of it. Oftentimes though, when you see someone play Squirrel Girl, it's someone who has not played a lot of DPS or Squirrel Girl, I guess at that point too. But in team fights, she's a real rock star. Getting picks, if you can aim, a real rock star. There's little rhyme or reason to not constantly be shooting her acorns. She is overall a pretty solid character, a decent pick. Although there's so much stigma around her that if you see a Squirrel Girl on your team, you already just have a mental tilt. Still, she ain't bad. Also someone who ain't bad, we got Hela. Now Hela, if you can aim, is incredibly strong. Good for getting picks, good for getting damage. Her ultimate is incredibly powerful, although it is countered a little bit by Doctor Strange and even Emma as well. And if you pop it just right out in the open, people are going to melt that down before you can blink. But her ultimate isn't really what makes her shine all that much. It is just her basic attack. Hit scan does a ton of damage. If you land headshots, even more damage, of course. And then if she's getting dived or she's trying to slow down the enemy team, she has her E ability to slow them down and pull them in. The reason why she's not up higher is just that she is missing something. She's countered just a little bit too easy. She plays just a little bit too slow. And then she also lost her team up with Loki, where she can no longer revive Loki, which is a sin. And then for S tier, we have Psylocke. Psylocke has been S tier since like day one. The only nerf I really know of hers is that she has a second removed from her invisibility effect. But Psylocke is a character that can do a ton of damage, and she can get picks as well as get out fairly easy. Not really someone who should be hanging out in the front line by any means. They're a flanker, they go off to the side, choose a target to eliminate, and then they get away. They reset 12 seconds and do it again. And then on top of that, her ultimate is also very, very strong. Most of the time you'll see it just pop as support ultimate, which again is a fair trade-off. But for all purposes, Psylocke, easy S tier. Next up we do got Mr. Fantastic, C tier. He's like low C tier. He is good if you have one tank, but then you should just be playing a tank at that point. His damage output really isn't all that great. He is mostly good for sustain. And I want to say going back and forth between the DPS and the pseudo tank, but his damage output is just kind of His only real shield is one, just taking a ton of damage, but he does have that E ability that like blocks everything. You know what? I think he is a D tier actually. A lot of his attacking involves like having to swing your mouse or joystick back and forth really fast to actually hit people. His ultimate is not great. He's not a bad DPS, it's just there's so many better options for what you want to do. And now we do got Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, kind of similar vein to Squirrel Girl, where people thought she was a throw pick for a very long time. Because her basic attack is a little bit of an auto aim, she has an incredible team up with Doctor Strange that absolutely melts whoever she's looking at. Her ultimate, on paper, is extraordinarily good. It is stopped a lot, and most of the time it's either you get no picks or like 1 to 2 picks. Unless it's teamed up with the Strange Portal, and then you get 5 to 6 picks, which is very nice. But that's really certain use cases. Most of the time with Scarlet Witch, it's someone to help deal with the flyers and the divers, just antagonizing the enemy backline. Not a bad pick, but most of the time it just kind of tilts your team when you see someone choose her. But a very strong and I think underrated character. Speaking of underrated these days, we do got Spider-Man who is slightly worse than Squirrel Girl. For a long time, Spider-Man was the guy. He would go in, antagonize the backline, get picks. He was pulling enemies off the map. Decently strong. His combos don't do enough to get picks. It requires like a great deal of technical skill to do well with Spider-Man. And he's also good for just kind of breaking up team fights, pulling an enemy away or an enemy off the map, which I do think is very underrated. He has a team up with Torch, which almost is needed to do well with him. And normally I would count that as a con, but Torch is already like the best DPS in the game. There's so much more that could be added to him. Even just a little bit of extra damage would take him a long way. And so we'll see what happens to him in the upcoming season. Next up, we do got Punisher. Punisher, A tier. I was looking at the top 500 list. Punisher was down at the bottom for like everything. He has his turret, which is great for offense and defense, and his ultimate, also very great for getting picks and dealing damage. And they buffed it so he can move around just a little bit faster. He has his smoke bomb ability to get away and cause a little bit of confusion. And he has his hook shots, which I find are mostly good for getting to a vantage point or outside of spawn. His shotgun is very good for dealing with anyone that is up close or even the tanks. If you ever play the thing and try to get up all in Punisher's face, you know how bad that could be. But Captain America kind of just counters everything about the Punisher. But right now he is fairly good. He's what a lot of the FPS players choose when they first come over. He's a great character. Easy to play, easy to get picks, easy to deal damage, and can deal with the flyers and group walls. Because I looked at her, we're going to look at Phoenix, who I think Phoenix is better than Psylocke. Phoenix is able to do self-sustain, keep herself alive, get bonus health. She's able to do amazing area of effect damage, which is great for choke points, domination, team fights, just about every occasion. And if you're shooting at the flyers, you see the little tag above the head, helps you track them a little bit better. I think Phoenix is a really good S tier character. Now they are blocked heavily by these shield tanks, again, unfortunately. They have decent mobility. Her ultimate is very interesting for a DPS ultimate because it does some damage and then it destroys all the equipment. And then you can do her attacks very fast to charge it up, incredibly fast to do her ultimate again. Yeah, there's honestly not much more I could say for Phoenix. They're incredibly strong. I think they could probably take 1 to 2 nerfs and still be in the S tier. But someone who I thought was going to be great and most certainly is not in the S tier, we do have Blade. Now Blade is getting a buff and that may put him into either the high C tier or the low B tier. But right now Blade is just not out. I do like the lifesteal ability. I like how his kit allows him to switch between the 2 different forms, to have lifesteal or to do the healing block, I guess. But his kit is a little bit weird where you gotta play kind of a little bit back or be right up in their face. Ultimate is pretty cool to see as well, and I like the sound effects with them. And for a character that felt like they had so much time and preparation for, he is just not up there yet. He can keep up in team fights, but he can't hang in the backline. And then he just gets melted very fast. Now we do got Magik, who, whoa, not A tier these days. Magik was so good for so long, and I do think they are a great solo DPS. They can hang out on the front line. They can help stall-ish a point. They're good for doing damage. They're good for getting picks. You really got to learn her combos, which can be a big pain in the butt. Kinda deal with the flyers. Her ultimate is also incredibly strong, and it feels incredible when you get picks in the support ultimate, but they are a little bit slow. The cooldowns are just a little bit much. I do not think that her damage needs a buff by any means, but maybe her cooldowns need to be tinkered with a little bit. I think that Magik honestly might be the perfect middle ground material. But end of the day, they're just missing something. They're like the Mario of the Marvel Rivals universe. Good overall, but there's better characters in every facet. But a good middle ground, perfect for any occasion character. Next up we do got Storm. Storm A tier. They used to be S for a very long time. Nowadays, not so much. Her ultimate is okay. It's really good when teamed up with Jeff, and Jeff is not that bad of a character. But to get the most out of Storm, she needs to be with the rest of her team. But Storm is not someone who can really hang out on the front line. And if they're being attacked in any way, they run away, and then there goes her buffs. She was hindered a lot by Spider-Man. She was hindered a lot by Punisher, by Hela, by Hawkeye, by Scarlet Witch, by Black Widow. That's a lot of characters I just said. But aside from that, she is still very strong. And then her attacks do pierce. I don't think she needs a buff to her attacks. I think she needs a buff to her movement, and that'll fix her. Because right now they play way too slow. Next we do got Iron Fist, Iron Fist fell so hard. At first season he was a throw pick, and then he was so good for so long, impossible to kill. But nowadays, I think a lot of people are learning his kit well enough to know don't shoot him when he's blocking. He can be a little bit tricky to actually get a pick on because he is just so wormy and gets away. But he's very good for melting the front line, the tanks. Very good for melting anyone with high health. For the squishies, not so much. He needs his ultimate for that, and he just doesn't do enough damage. Although he does do rapid attacks, which I guess is beneficial. But he doesn't do enough to really be oh man, there's an Iron Fist, we gotta work to counter that. I think they really need to buff him, but then at the same time, if you do that, the tanks are gonna have a big problem. Either way, he is not very bottom of C tier, but he's not even close to being B. Next up, we do got Iron Man, who great flyer, great ultimate, good for doing just general chip damage. And then if you do play him aggressively, you have his chest shot ability that will absolutely melt players. He's very good if you play kind of lower to the ground and up close, but he also does offer good damage if you play him up high in the back, just shooting at the enemy team. The flyers, I do think, do suffer a lot from what the game currently offers, because you have to deal with the other flyers, but then you got the hit scans, you got the snipers, you got the Hawkeye, you got the Punisher, you got the Hela, you got Namor, honestly. But if you do avoid all that, Iron Man is very, very strong. He does a ton of damage. He gets his ultimate consistently fast, and that thing will one-shot just about anyone if landed right. Now we got Black Panther. Black Panther is not S tier, but he is better than... Black Panther's not better than Hela, but he is a lot better than Punisher and co. Now, Black Panther for many seasons was not a great character. You didn't really have to worry about him. The hit reg bug really took a lot out of him. And now that they fixed it, you see Black Panther a lot, and you see him get banned a lot. I think he is a hard skill check for a lot of people. But if you're in quick play, he's just a menace and like a pain in the ass. He is a little bit of a pain to deal with, and if you can survive the first volley of his attacks, you're pretty much fine. Fortunately, he will dash off or just kind of jog off very slowly. But most of the time he's in, he's out, you don't even notice. And Black Panther is insanely strong. If I'm playing Ultron, if I'm playing Iron Man, I'm not expecting Black Panther to come get me. And then he does, and then he die. And then we do got Bucky. I think Bucky actually is better than Hela. Bucky, you fire 3 shots, then you gotta reload. But you choose one of his abilities to use. Your guns are loaded on top of using the ability, and you get bonus overshield. Brother, what more can you need? He is someone who can knock flyers out of the air. Importantly, he can use a silk shot to either grab someone running away or the enemy front line, turn around, and punch him into your enemy team to get the pick. It was a lot easier to keep his ultimate going because his ultimate was dastardly disgusting. You pop his ultimate, you hit an enemy, boom, 1 shot to the head, you're good to go. These days, not so much. He's also someone that deals with the divers as well with his hook. He's a very strong character. I'm not sure why he's not played more. Someone who can go in, get the picks, does a ton of damage, and he has alright sustain. Can you believe I almost forgot about Namor? Fishboy, B tier. Namor is a character that you pick when there is flyers, when there's divers, and his squids help mitigate that. He is a more technical character than I think people give him grace for, and his ultimate is pretty good too. He has this bubble that will let him live some abilities, some attacks, but then he's a giant floating bubble, and they did buff his basic attack and his secondary attack too, I believe, where they shoot off faster. But the main part of his kit is his squids, which means he needs to be just a little bit more stationary in a certain area, but they are very good for at least alerting your team to anyone that is trying to dive the backline. He used to have a beautiful team up with Luna. They got rid of it for good reason, but that's where he is these days. Also, the flanking Namors. Hey, hats off to you guys for doing that, but that's a pain in the butt to deal with as well. Because if you're in the back line, especially like around a corner, trying to keep your team alive, and then Namor comes out, throws down his squids, and just wipes you, it's very aggravating. Oh my god, Moon Knight too. Wow. Moon Knight I think is nice, solidly middle of C tier. I do play a lot of Moon Knight, and he's very clunky to do a lot with. I don't think his onks need any cooldown management, but I think his secondary attack needs to have a little bit less cooldown. Moon Knight is great for dealing a ton of damage in a group of people. Is he good against flyers? No. Is he good against divers? If he can throw his onk down and aim it right, he can stun them a little bit, but no, not really. His ultimate is not as great anymore. He gets his ult fast, so that's why he was so good before, but nowadays he's a little lackluster. Just someone who's shooting his onks, throwing his basic attack, and dealing damage. But if you don't play him right, you're just gonna feed support ults, and that's not ideal. I think Hawkeye's B tier. Now, if you get a good Hawkeye on the enemy team, and your team is not properly caring about you at all, you are gonna have one of the roughest games you've ever played. Hawkeye aims, and then shoots at your backline, and they're dead 1 shot. Womp womp, nothing you can do about it. However, that primarily is the most of what he does. You know what? That primarily is most of what he does. He does have his attack to knock people back, he can deflect, and he does have some movement abilities to get around, but they're not very great for that. And his ultimate is okay. I mean, you can't crit, but it's easier to land shots. Most of the time whenever I played Hawkeye, I don't find his ultimate useful to do. And that's why he is far down below Hela. I know that early seasons, Hawkeye and Hela were like the main menace. Hawkeye he does so much damage, so we can't like buff him in that regard. But he just needs something extra. And that is everyone except for you. Wow, Wolverine. Wolverine is S tier. Who are we kidding? He's Wolverine. Actual Wolverine has been the same, the greatest, since he's been in the game. Great for dealing with the tanks. Now, some tanks do have a way to kind of negate him. Magneto with his bubble, Emma with kicking. But if you play Groot, Wolverine is your enemy. And once you get a Wolverine that's on the go, he is not only wiping out your tanks, he's also wiping out your backline with the tanks at the same time. He's able to throw people off the map. He can reduce some damage coming into him. He has a great ability where if he dies, he gets bonus overshield. His team up now is with Phoenix, where he gets lifesteal when he attacks. So not only is he doing insane damage, he's also staying alive and healing up at the same time. It's ridiculous. I don't think he is a ban or use character, but I think this is comfortably where the Season 3.5 DPS are. Unless we see some big changes, I don't think things are going to change up too much in the upcoming season. Whenever that is, I think it's a couple weeks now. But this is everything that you do need to know. So that's a wrap on this Season 3.5 Marvel Rivals DPS tier list. Tell me, do you think I got someone wrong? They're in the wrong spot? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, while you're down there, hit that like button if you're still watching. Subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already. And stay tuned for the next one. YouTube thinks you like this video next. Let me know if you do.